Hey, what's up? This is Scott with the Level Up Tutorials, and in this weekly Svelte, we're going to be diving into 5 community packages that I think you should know about. Now, the first one of these that we're going to be talking about is Sveltable, which, again, like the community loves to do, is a play on the word Svelte and whatever it is the package actually is. So Sveltable, as you can see here, is a data table-based package. And let me tell you, I have really kind of looked far and wide for a package just like this. So I'm really excited to see this brand new package pop up and be exactly what I want. Now, the way we're doing data tables right now in our Level Up Tutorials Svelte kit build is I forked a data tables, I think it's Svelte Simple Data Tables or one of those packages that didn't actually work with Svelte kit. I forked it, and then I removed all the instances of window and all the stuff that would get hung up on SSR. But it's not perfect. There's some weird CSS stuff with it, and I don't love it. So I'm very excited to see a feature-rich data table component built in Svelte. Import your data objects, and our table will take care of the rest. So what does this thing look like? They have a nice website here. But look, this is the demo. And let me tell you what's great about this. This is so bare bones in terms of CSS. A lot of these other packages have tried to take over the whole table. The CSS that exists here only exists to make it function, right? It's not actually styling it, leaving it open for you to style yourself, which is exactly what I want out of a data table, right? I don't want that table to have its own style. So what's cool about this thing? Well, it includes searching, so you can search just by typing, and it will search across all fields, as you can see. You can see it perfect, right? I did occupation, I did first name, and I did age. Now, what else can this thing do? You can also filter. These filters that exist here are, again, like mini searches here where you're filtering by a specific thing. And what about ordering? Yeah, you can order as well. So if you select anything, it has a little up and down emoji, which I personally love, and this allows you to sort as well. Honestly, this might just be my favorite new package in the Svelte community just because it does everything it needs to do. It's very simple, it's easy to get up and running, and it has all the features you would want from this type of thing. So if you want to give this a check, it's at sveltable.io. You can give this a try. I'll post the link to this in the description. Okay, Sveltable. Gotta love it. All right, next one is going to be a file drop Svelte. Now, I love a good file drop plugin because honestly, we wrote our own, just like we did kind of with the table by forking it and modifying it, but we actually wrote our own drop zone. And what's neat about this one is it includes all the kind of stuff that you would want out of it. When you're typically making your own, you got to worry about things like error events or error types, right? Invalid file error, file count exceeded. It has a lot of events and options and inputs so that you can really configure this thing to be like what you want. But at the end of the day, what you end up having is a drop zone. Let's see it in the Svelte repo. Getting this white mode here. You can see it's just a very simple drop zone. You can click it to open up the window to load up a file, or you can just simply drag and drop onto it. That's great. I love this kind of thing, and this is the type of package that I would use myself if I hadn't already written one myself that was less good than this one. So maybe I'll switch it. Who knows? All right, next one is going to be Persistent Svelte Store. Now, Persistent Svelte Store is really simple, and this allows you to have a Svelte store that persists into local storage. So these docs don't show you installing this on NPM or anything. And honestly, since this package is so simple, if you wanted to look at this thing, you could just go to the persistentstore.ts file, and you can see it's one file under 50 lines of code, 49 to be exact. And really all it's doing is implementing a custom persistent writable or a custom writable, where all it's doing is setting an item into local storage, or updating an item into local storage, or getting an item out of local storage. Again, this thing couldn't be any more simple, and the actual amount of code to make this happen is this much. This is the type of thing that you don't even need to install via NPM. Just copy and paste this into your project. Either way, persistentstore.ts. I will be linking to this in the show notes as well. If you want stores that persist this sounds like a great option for me. Now, here's a good one. Svelte use tooltip. I love a good tooltip. Tooltips are not a ton of fun to code. You got to worry about a whole ton of use cases, a lot of options. Now, this one is nice because it has a lot of options. So you can see when we hover, I'm a fancy tooltip. It even has a button in it that can trigger an event. Default tooltip content is basically whatever you want. Text content, you can overwrite. Hello. And now hover me, it just says hello. Super nice and easy. Tooltip position, top, bottom, left, right, any of that stuff. Any of the things that you would typically want from a tooltip. Use custom animation enter class and leave class so you can do animations with it. You can have an enter and exit delay, which is really nice because sometimes you want to have this thing. You can see how it remains here. In fact, if we say like 1000 here, we can hover and then let go. 1. There we go. You can see nice little persistent. There's also a disable tooltip, which I don't understand why you'd have that. Maybe that just gives you the option if you want to dynamically turn this on or off, which is actually really nice. Again, part of the benefit of using a lot of these packages is that they have these defaults and these props that you might not want to code yourself. It looks like there's this prop to animate as well. It's not in the demo, at least not that. Oh, animate tooltip. Let's see this. There we go. So it's just a simple fade in. And if you want to do anything fancier than that, fade in and look like maybe a fly out. Okay, cool. If you want to do anything different, you can do this custom leave and enter class. Really cool stuff. I wonder if you do top and animate if it flies down. Oh, it doesn't fly at all. Interesting. Cool. So it looks like a little of attention to detail there that they've thought about. What does it do if it's on the right or the left, the up or the bottom, whatever. But it's a simple tooltip, and the best part is that like with tooltips or anything like this, this allows you to be fully customizable. The way this thing works is via an action. Now, Svelte actions are one of my favorite features and probably most underutilized features in Svelte because what you're doing is augmenting the DOM content. And so by simply saying use tooltip, well, use tooltip, could have just been use tooltip, but whatever. You're allowed to post it into something here and just have whatever the contents of the div is, making it really robust for all sorts of types of tooltips. You can even have content actions. This is a pretty robust action, if I'm being entirely honest. This action has a lot of options, whether that is props, properties that allow you to really customize this thing. So very cool package here. Those of you who want to have a tooltip without having to build it yourself, Svelte use tooltip. I think this one's fantastic. Okay, this is the tooltip demo. Okay, last one here is going to be a really interesting package. Now, I think this one's interesting because me personally, just like many of these other ones that I've talked about here, I've created my own form library because at the time that we ran into SvelteKit, there wasn't a form library that did exactly what I wanted to do. So I built a library. It's called AutoForm. You can check that one out if you want. It's not entirely feature complete, considering we're just using it for what we need it to do, but it exists on NPM. Felt is felte.dev is an extensible form library for Svelte, Solid, and React. As in, hey, this thing exists in more than one front-end framework. So if you're coming from React or Solid or Preact or whatever, you've seen that Svelte is more simple and more fun to write than those languages. Sorry. Then you might be interested in this kind of library. Now, another really interesting trend that I'm seeing in a bunch of these libraries is just like the last tooltip one. This one is from a Svelte action. And what's neat is that you're using a normal form component, use form, then you are using normal HTML inputs. Gotta love that, right? And then you're using create form as a function to then grab the form. You get the form itself, which is what you're passing into the use action here. So you create your form, you use it, and then you end up having access to all of the methods and everything inside of it. Again, this is an interesting trend in Svelte that we're seeing, is that actions for a long time have been not underutilized, but maybe underutilized, maybe underknown, not a word. But you know, they haven't necessarily been the most popular thing in Svelte because they're a little bit more of an advanced use case. But the thing I love so much about actions is it deals directly with the DOM. in a way that is less of a framework and more of just like a HTML access, right? So I really like that there's this trend here. I think Felt is really interesting. This one, again, is a little bit different than many other form libraries. It's very different than the auto form library that I made, but the documentation here is really super good. You can see you just install it. Again, you create the action, you drop the action on there, and then you can use forms as if you were doing a normal form here. And there's a lot of different stuff. Validators. Hey, you want to have validators? This is something that my form library doesn't do very well. Warnings, also something my form library doesn't do very well. Working with stores, helper functions, all sorts of stuff. This is a tremendous library and something that I personally am very interested in. And so if you're looking for a form library that isn't like going to really be super duper duper custom into Svelte, like this thing allows you to use an HTML form that maybe already exists. You're just kind of intercepting the action of it and processing it in a way via JavaScript rather than how the HTML would typically process a form. Now, if you want to see mine, I actually just pulled it up here. This is a very different approach to forms. I'll toss this in as a bonus number 6 because I think I may have already talked about it. AutoForm from Level Up Tuts is a package where you are defining, let's say, the shape of your form, right? You're defining the input shape of it, where you could have a string that's a simple text field. You can have a more complex field that has a name and a type. You can have all sorts of different props like label. You have things like, oh, I want this to be a number. I want this to be a tag field. So there's a number of included fields, whether that's a tag or a markdown field, something like that, or like a findable select list. You can insert an HR into it just by including a string that's a dash. Like this form library is intended to, what you do is you describe the way the form exists and then you just use the component and then it spits out a form. So it's a very different approach from Felt. But again, one that we use on Level Up Tutorials to great success. So to offer a completely different viewpoint on form libraries, we have AutoForm and we have Felt. You can always give this library a try, submit pull requests, or just help with this in general, because personally, I really like this AutoForm library, but again, it's not going to be for everyone. So I think Felt, AutoForm are either a great opportunity to have a really nice Svelte form library. Okay, so that does it for today's weekly Svelte, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the brand new Svelte course that we just dropped yesterday. And we actually did our very first Level Up Tutorials course drop, which is available on the channel if you want to go ahead and watch, where we talk all about the contents of this new course. And it's a wonderful Svelte course on Svelte Cubed. The course is called Svelte 3D, and I show you some really, really fancy stuff. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about what that course entails, what it is, go ahead and watch that course drop video. We talk all about what happened in this course, but more importantly, we talk a lot about Svelte Cubed and why it's so neat. So this is the latest course on Level Up Tutorials. If you sign up today, you can get 25% off the yearly price. This is something that is going to be increasing later on. We're doing a full redesign of the site. So the moment of the redesign launches, we're going to be increasing the price. So if you want to get in at this price, you can get locked in, subscribe for the year, and it will auto renew at the cheaper price forever. So check it out, leveluptutorials.com. You can become a pro, click this Go Pro button. It'll show you the options here. You can select yearly plan, sign up for this thing, and you're going to get a new tutorial course every single month, including some amazing courses that we have from Amy Dutton, Remix for Everyone with me, Svelte 3D with me. Amy Kaepernick did a course on accessibility. Colby Fayak did a course on Next.js and the Jamstack. Ryan Alinska, Modern GraphQL Databases with Prisma. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. Building Svelte components, more Svelte, Svelte Kit. Look at all this Svelte stuff. In fact, if we search by Svelte, look at all the Svelte content. Svelte Kit, Svelte 3D, Animating Svelte, Zapper for Beginners, Svelte for Beginners. A lot of cool Svelte stuff and even more on the way. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.